Hey, this is not the shelter. Get out now or get dragged out.
Look at my ID. I can afford it.
People like you aren't welcome here. Leave before I call security. The words cut through the hotel lobby like shards of glass bouncing off the crystal chandeliers. At the front desk, a tall black woman froze as security moved in, ready to physically remove her. What no one realized was that the woman they were trying to humiliate, calling a criminal and treating like an intruder, actually owned the entire hotel chain. One phone call later, every person involved in this racist fiasco would lose their job. It was 9:30 p.m. on a chilly Tuesday at the Regal Summit Hotel in downtown Chicago. The marble floors gleamed under warm golden lighting, reflecting the grandeur of the lobby. Automatic doors whispered open as Monique Reynolds entered. At 37, Monique carried herself with quiet authority, her sharp brown eyes scanning every detail. Her natural hair was pulled into a professional bun, a few strands softening her determined face. Her navy suit, slightly wrinkled from travel, and modest black suitcase gave away hours of airport waiting, but not her dignity. Behind the mahogany front desk, Holly Bennett, 32, perfection in every detail, narrowed her blue eyes at Monique, noting her natural hair, her wrinkled suit, and practical luggage. A fake smile curved her lips, but her eyes radiated judgment. "Good evening," Monique said, calm but firm. "I'd like to book a room for tonight." Holly's response revealed the ugly truth. "We don't host people like you. Try the shelter downtown." Have you ever been judged before even speaking a word? Pause and think. What would you do in Monique's place? Monique Reynolds stood her ground, her posture straight, head held high, carrying decades of experience, proving herself in spaces where she was often the only one who looked like her. "Are you sure?" she asked Holly, noting the empty lobby, a few guests scattered across space. Holly's polite facade dissolved entirely. "This is a five-star hotel. We don't host people like you. You can't even afford it. Try the shelter downtown." Behind Holly, Mei Lin, a 24-year-old assistant clerk, giggled like a schoolgirl sharing a cruel joke. Even the night manager, Veronica Cruz, 27, rolled her eyes dramatically as she approached, disdain clear. Security, Derek Moore, stepped closer, using his size to intimidate. "Lady, you heard them." "Time to move along," he said, voice low and threatening. 4 employees ganged up on one woman, their attacks fueled by racism, accusations of theft, insults about her finances, and threats of physical removal. But Monique remained composed, her steel beneath calm words. "Is there a problem with my credit card or ID?" she asked, producing her black corporate card and Lincoln Park address ID. Holly smirked. "Probably stolen. We don't want trouble here," Malin added, laughing. "She can't even afford parking." Monique's voice remained steady, edged with determination. "Do you think my presence disturbs your atmosphere? Explain why I'm being refused service." Veronica chimed in. "You have no business being here. Have you ever faced people who assumed the worst about you without reason? How would you respond? If you made it this far, hit subscribe now and tell us where you're watching from." Monique's calm persisted as Derek leaned in, cracking his knuckles menacingly. "Want me to escort her out now?" he asked Veronica. But just then, the general manager of the property, Elliot Barnes, 55, emerged from his office. Perfectly tailored suit, silver hair, immaculately styled, he carried authority, but his eyes flicked toward Monique with immediate judgment. "What's this commotion about?" he demanded, irritation in his tone. Holly quickly framed the story. "This woman won't leave. She's demanding a room." Elliot glanced at Monique, eyes narrowing. "Ma'am, I think you're lost. The bus station is 6 blocks that way." The implication was clear. Because she was black, she was assumed to have arrived by bus, unworthy of their hotel. Monique maintained her composure. "Sir, I am requesting a room." Elliot's smirk lingered. "Our rooms start at $400 per night. That's probably more than you make in a month." Maylin, Holly, and Veronica whispered, laughing about her cheap suitcase and her intent to case the place. Derek braced himself to act. Monique, unshaken, reached into her purse. "I'm going to make a call," she said, voice steady. By the time Monique Reynolds stepped out into the hotel's parking lot, the evening chill did little to dampen the fire in her chest. Her heels clicked against the pavement, each step measured, deliberate, carrying the weight of someone about to reclaim authority that had been openly challenged. The Grand Metropolitan's lobby was behind her, where a storm of arrogance and ignorance continued to fester. She pulled her phone from her purse, fingers steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was not panic. This was preparation. She dialed with precision, contacting David Sterling, the board chairman of her company. "Assemble the board at Grand Metropolitan in 1 hour," she instructed. Outside, black SUVs pulled up, one, then two, then three, filled with well-dressed executives who moved with the authority of people who ran companies, not tourists. Elliot's confident smirk faltered as he realized these were not empty threats. William Hayes, the branch manager Monique had specifically mentioned, strode into the lobby with purpose, his gaze freezing Richardson and the staff. Have you ever underestimated someone only to realize they held all the power? Think about what you do in that situation. With unwavering confidence, Monique Sterling addressed David Sterling, the board chairman. "Pull every file on Grand Metropolitan," she said, her voice calm yet full of authority. "Performance reviews, complaints, hiring records, nothing can be overlooked." She named names with precision: Richardson, Mitchell, Torres, Chen, and Johnson. "I want a detailed account of every guest interaction, especially any complaints regarding service," she added, leaving no room for excuses. Next, her legal team. "I need a full civil rights investigation," she said, leaving no room for ambiguity. Security footage, witness statements, documentation, everything had to be compiled. Have you ever faced a situation where people underestimated you because of who you are? Comment below and tell us how you handled it. Finally, Monique coordinated an emergency board meeting. Within the hour, the people who had dared to humiliate her would confront the full consequences of their actions. Monique didn't just dismantle the toxic culture, she rebuilt it. This environment allowed prejudices to flourish, she told Hayes and the board, her voice firm and precise. "We created spaces where people felt safe to express their biases, thinking there'd be no consequences. That ends now." One by one, the employees who had humiliated her were terminated on the spot. Holly, still sobbing, couldn't hide the weight of her actions. Maylin, Veronica, and Derek faced the same immediate consequence. Their years of employment, benefits, and career progress wiped out in minutes. Every racist comment, every act of intimidation had been documented, and each employee now carried the permanent mark of their misconduct. Hayes nodded gravely. "I had no idea this was happening at our properties. Completely unacceptable." "This culture existed because we weren't vigilant enough," Monique replied. "We allowed spaces where prejudice could feel safe. That ends today. We're rebuilding, not just punishing." By the end of the night, policies were rewritten, staff underwent mandatory sensitivity and anti-discrimination training, and Monique had personally overseen every corrective action. The Grand Metropolitan Hotel, once a stage for humiliation, became a model for accountability, fairness, and dignity. Sometimes justice isn't subtle. Sometimes it's swift, precise, and undeniable, and this was one of those times. From the other side of silence, toss stories. If you believe every person deserves dignity and fairness, leave a comment and let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story, because sometimes justice is served in the most unforgettable way.